Imagine a quiet winter night in 1961, where the only sound is the wind until the sky screams with the roar of a failing giant. High above the sleeping farms of Goldsboro, North Carolina, a B-52 stratofortress is breaking apart in a violent metal tantrum. Inside its belly sit two Mark 39 hydrogen bombs, each packing the terrifying power of nearly 4 million tons of TNT. This isn't a drill, and there is no undo button for what is about to happen. Next, as the plane disintegrates, one of these monsters begins its terminal descent. Its internal sensors believing it has been intentionally dropped over an enemy target. It goes through its arming sequence, clicking through the stages of a mechanical death wish that would change history. In 5 seconds, the eastern seaboard of the United States could become a radioactive wasteland of fire and ash. The line between a normal Tuesday and a total national catastrophe has never been thinner than it is right now. We are talking about a blast 200 times more powerful than the one that leveled Hiroshima. This is the terrifying, true story of the day the American military almost erased its own coastline. The Cold War was at its freezing point, and the United States kept its nuclear-armed bombers in the air constantly to deter a Soviet strike. On January 23, 1961, a routine mission turned into a nightmare when a fuel leak caused the B-52 to lose control. As the crew struggled to save the aircraft, the centrifugal forces became so intense that the fuselage literally snapped like a toothpick. As the plane broke up, the two massive bombs were flung into the night air, falling toward the dark fields below. One bomb behaved exactly as it was designed to do, deploying its parachute to stabilize its path toward the ground. It floated silently, a white ghost carrying enough destructive energy to vaporize everything within a 15-mile radius of its impact. The pilots who managed to eject could only watch in horror as their lethal cargo drifted toward the earth. Down below, families slept in their beds, completely unaware that a sun-bright explosion was currently being prepared in the clouds. The machinery of war was now operating on its own, independent of any human command or logic. It was a mechanical failure, leading toward a man-made apocalypse that no one saw coming until it was too late. As the first bomb fell, it didn't just drop. It engaged its internal firing mechanisms with chilling, automated precision. Documents declassified decades later reveal that the bomb's internal brain went through 3 of the 4 steps required for detonation. It transitioned from safe to armed, activating its batteries and preparing the firing triggers for the final contact. Only a single, low-voltage manual switch stood between the survival of North Carolina and a massive nuclear crater. This switch was the only thing that prevented the high-explosive lenses from crushing the plutonium core into a supercritical mass. Experts later noted that if a simple, short circuit had occurred during the plane's breakup, the switch would have failed. The bomb hit the ground at high speed, its nose burying itself deep into the muddy soil of a local farm. It sat there, a silent metallic beast, having completed nearly its entire sequence to trigger a thermonuclear blast. If it had detonated, the radioactive fallout would have drifted north, potentially reaching as far as New York City. Millions of lives were saved by a piece of technology no more complex than a common light switch. The second bomb took a different path, plunging into the swampy earth. Like a kinetic spear without deploying its parachute, it slammed into a marshy meadow at several hundred miles per hour, disintegrating on impact and burying its components deep underground. The recovery teams arrived in a panic, digging through the thick North Carolina mud to find the missing pieces of the weapon. They found the tail, the parachute, and parts of the casing, but the most dangerous part remained elusive. The pit, or the nuclear core of the second bomb, had tunneled so deep into the wet earth that it proved impossible to recover. The military eventually had to give up the search, choosing instead to buy the land and fence it off forever. Today, a piece of a hydrogen bomb still sits beneath that quiet field, a permanent resident of the Carolina soil. It serves as a buried ghost of the Cold War, a reminder of how close we came to a self-inflicted wound. We often think of nuclear threats as coming from across the ocean, but this threat came from our own sky. The recovery site remains a silent, empty space where the grass grows over a secret that could have ended the world. The aftermath of the Goldsboro incident was shrouded in secrecy for years, as the government worked to downplay the extreme danger. For decades, the public was told that there was never a real chance of an accidental nuclear explosion on American soil. However, when the secret files were finally opened, the truth was far more terrifying than the official cover story suggested. The lead engineer tasked with analyzing the incident admitted that one bomb came as close as you can get to a full-scale blast. This event forced the military to completely redesign the safety protocols for every nuclear weapon in the global arsenal. It highlighted the terrifying reality that human error and mechanical failure are the 2 greatest threats to our continued existence. We rely on the perfection of machines, yet machines are built by flawed hands and operated in unpredictable conditions. The miracle of North Carolina wasn't the technology. It was the sheer, unexplained luck that the final switch held its position. It serves as a chilling case study in the broken arrow phenomenon, where the tools of protection become the tools of destruction. We are living in a world where our safety is often protected by nothing more than a thin wire. Looking Looking back at that cold January night, we have to wonder how many other times we have narrowly escaped our own inventions. The Goldsboro incident wasn't an isolated mistake. It was one of dozens of documented near misses that have occurred since the dawn of the atomic age. Each time we are told that the systems worked, but the evidence suggests that we are often saved by circumstances beyond our control. This story forces us to confront the uncomfortable truth about the weapons we build to keep the peace. If a single switch can be the difference between a peaceful night and a continental disaster, can we ever truly be safe? The field in North Carolina is quiet now, but the lesson it holds is screaming for our attention in an increasingly unstable world. We must ask ourselves if the cost of this kind of power is worth the risk of a single, tiny mechanical failure. As we look toward a future filled with even more complex technology, we have to wonder, will our luck hold out forever, or is time simply running out? What happens when the next switch fails to stay in the safe position? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think we are safer now, or are we just better at hiding the mistakes?